Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you. When judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you. 'Cause it's gonna come for you.
Nigga, this for quality. Easy, see something Charlie. Little boo, but God's got him. And I'm gonna miss everybody out of roll and flow like I ain't looked at a while. Like I'm playing for dust and they play too deep for beachside. Little legs I got too deep. Tell me your feature deceased, would it please? Marry me by my grand way. You can't go follow
God bless you, working on a plan to heaven.
Backbone Wrestling Network. Welcome back to the CrosUp, your weekly look back at the week that was in professional wrestling. This week I'll be running through the results and happenings from Raw on January 5th to Collision on January the 10th. We'll start with Raw. We open with a women's tag team title match where Rhea Ripley and Io Sky defeat the Kabuki Warriors when they hit Riptide and over the moonsault on Asuka in succession to become your new women's tag team champions. Then get a video on our World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk, kind of hyping what he's been through in the last few weeks, him winning the championship over the last few months and all that good stuff. We then go back to Adam Pearce. He congratulates the new women's tag team champions. They kind of go away. Gunther comes in, and Pearce tells him there are a lot of people watching him and watching his every move. He asks Gunther to show some respect out there, with Gunther not seeming like he's going to take that too seriously. We then go to Gunther coming out to the ring. He's been asked to show respect, but what about the respect for him? He brings up making John Cena tap out. So this brings out AJ Styles, who Gunther's kind of been taunting the last few weeks. Gunther immediately cuts AJ Styles off from saying anything, saying that Styles is punching above his weight. He's the man who made Cena tap out like a little bitch. So what is AJ Styles going to do about it? Gunther does the "you can't see me" in Styles' face again, and this makes AJ slap the shit out of him. They kind of go face to face, head to head, nose to nose, and Styles says that's exactly what he thinks of Gunther, that he's not worth anything but a slap in the face. We then get video on our women's Intercontinental Championship match tonight between Maxine Dupree and Becky Lynch. Ivy Nile, who is previously challenged Maxine for the Intercontinental Championship, tells Adam Pearce that she's not going to the back of the line. Gunther and AJ Styles then barge in, saying they want to fight, and Adam Pearce makes the match for next week. We then get our women's Intercontinental title match where Becky Lynch regains her championship, defeating Maxine when Maxine kind of has her in the ankle lock, and Becky's able to do kind of a weird botchy, just not very good looking roll up, and Maxine doesn't let go of the ankle lock and gets pinned. Her shoulder get pinned to the mat. So Becky Lynch is your new women's Intercontinental champion. We then continue to get video on Obafemi. Obviously, we will get more into that on NXT, but just kind of continuing to hype him up, showing who he is, what he's done in NXT over the last few years. We then get a preview for Unreal Season 2, which will be on Netflix, kind of showing you the behind-the-stage aspects of WWE and all that good stuff. We then go to the Usos. They cut a promo from the crowd. They're glad to be back as tag team royalty, and they're going to face any team, anytime. And Jay calls this a warning shot to the entire division. We then get Stephanie Vaquer. She's in a walking boot. She comes to the ring for a promo. She's happy with everything that happened in 2025, but her biggest dream came true when she won the title she's wearing on her shoulder. She wants to face everyone because she is the best in the world, and her injury is not going to keep her from doing so. But Raquel Rodriguez then comes in and jumps her behind. She starts to work on the injured leg, hits a Tahana bomb, and then she goes to Pillmanize Stephanie's injured leg, but Adam Pearce and some security are able to stop that from happening. We then go to break. We come back, and they show us what happened during the commercial break, and Raquel has jumped Stephanie in the back once again, focusing on her injured leg. We then look back at Penta saving Rey Mysterio from Logan Paul and Austin Theory the previous week. Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio reaffirm their friendship. Penta comes in and says he isn't going to let the Vision do anything else like they've tried to do last week to Rey. They both say they respect Lucha Libre, and both of them have cero miedo. We then get Liv Morgan. She defeats Lyra Valkyria via pinfall when Roxanne and Bailey are battling around the outside. That provides enough of a distraction for Morgan to hit Oblivion on Lyra and get the pinfall. We then go to CM Punk. He cuts a promo before the match, the big main event match. CM Punk is not worried about the spear. He's coming into this match as the underdog, and he's going to use this to advantage because Braun Breaker will ultimately underestimate him, and that's not something you should do to CM Punk. And then we get to our main event match, and CM Punk retains his World Heavyweight Championship against Braun Breaker via pinfall. He gets a knee up on a spear attempt, and then he immediately goes to the GTS and retains his title. Punk then celebrates to end the show. He's kind of like goofy and out of it. Like he seems like he's real kind of woozy after the match. So he's kind of like slinging the belt around and he ends up actually dropping it a little bit. So he was on rubber leg street kind of there at the end, but kind of a weak episode of Raw. They hyped it up real big. It was like the Stranger Things Raw, a couple of title changes. The women's match was good to open the show. But outside of the opening match and the main event, it was a pretty lackluster Raw for it being as hyped up as it was. But as far as best match, I would go with Breaker versus Punk. It was a good world title match. The women's tag opener was good as well. But as far as out of those two, I would go with the main event. We'll then go to NXT. We open with a recap of the highs and lows of 2025. That kind of switches into a preview of tonight's New Year's Evil kind of special episode, kind of what we have heading into our new year. We have to open the show in the arena. Thea Hale comes out. She starts to make her way to the ring for her title defense against Blake Monroe, but Blake Monroe attacks her from behind and is eventually pulled off by security. Instead of our first match being that match, Ricky Saints ends up coming out for a promo. Saints says he really needed NXT last year, but now NXT is the one that really needs him, and that is absolutely true. He's the reason Javon Evans and Trick Williams picked free agency instead of hanging around in NXT because they know they can't hang with Ricky Saints anymore. He knows how this ends, and he hasn't been wrong for 20 years, so he isn't starting now. Tonight's main event is for the NXT title, and he wants the winner, especially if it's Obafemi because their kind of record against each other is 1-1. And in case any of us need a reminder, him being champion again is absolute. So absolute Ricky Saints, letting us know that he's coming back for the NXT championship. We then go to Ava. She's kind of panicking in the back because obviously there was supposed to be a match to start the show, but that didn't end up happening. Tells somebody in production to throw to a package for Tatum Paxley versus Izzy Dane, which will end up being our first match. We then go to commercial break, come back. Ava yells at Blake Monroe, who is willing to accept a fine and then get her title match. Ava instead tells her to leave the building and not come back until she hears otherwise. We then get our match between Tatum and Izzy. Tatum actually gets the win this time via pinfall following the cemetery drive. We then get a kind of vignette for a new superstar named Elio Lafleur. He has been a kind of independent talent. Eagle Blanc, I believe is how you say his name. He is a masked French wrestler, but he is coming to NXT and describes himself as a French luchador. So an interesting character there. I think I've seen him in a couple of GCW shows before, but like I said, I think it's Eagle Blanc, but Elio Lafleur will be his NXT name. But we will go to Thea Hale backstage. She is told her title match is going to be pushed, but she wants Blake Monroe tonight. Ava tells Thea about ejecting Blake from the building, and Thea says she wants to issue an open challenge instead because she wants to defend her championship tonight. We then get our women's NXT title match where JC Jane retains her championship, defeating Kendall Gray via pinfall when Fallon helps JC avoid the shades of gray, allowing JC to eventually hit the rolling encore. And again, she retains her women's NXT title. Ethan Page comes in to annoy Ava in her office by bragging about his North American title reign and goes, and then he says he's going to go to the ring and continue bragging to the world. First, though, he brings in his buddies, the Vanity Project, and they annoy Ava some more and talk about, they say they want to talk about their future in NXT, obviously being one of the bigger acts in Evolve currently. We then get Thea Hale's open challenge. Izzy Dame actually comes back out again and answers the open challenge, and she's able to defeat Thea via pinfall, following a top rope Dame over powerbomb. And this makes Izzy Dame your new Women's North American Champion. After the match, the Cullen come in to celebrate and kind of put over Izzy as the new champion. We then go to the Vanity Project once again. They run into Lola Vice, but Hank and Tank kind of cut them off because they're kind of trying to flirt with Lola. The Vanity Project then leaves. Lola Vice says she's going to beat up Izzy Dame and Kalani Jordan and really assert herself in the division. Kalani then comes in and they get into a mild little brawl before it gets broken up pretty quickly. We then go to Joe Hendry. He comes into Ava's office. So Ava is busy tonight. He requests a no DQ match with Dion Lennox next week. And Ava kind of tells him to find some people to kind of help ward off the rest of Dark State. He says he'll find some people to help deal with them. And Ava agrees to make the match as long as he can find some people to kind of have his back. We then go to Ethan Page coming to the ring for a promo. He says last week he became a big game hunter by bagging a moose. The main event is coming up, but make no mistake, the North American title is the real title here in NXT and WWE. He has defended the title against everyone from around the world, and that makes him an international icon. Jasper Troy then comes out. He's the speed champion. Ethan seems very confused by his presence, says that he's the dominant force around here. But before he can finish saying too much, Josh Briggs then comes out to interrupt, with Troy getting the last line in before Briggs' music hits. Briggs calls Page delusional, just like the rest of these fans in this arena. Ethan Page doesn't like being compared to them, but then here comes TNA International Champion Channing Stacks Lorenzo with Ariana Grace. Stacks doesn't like Page calling himself an international icon when Stacks is already an international champion. Shiloh Hill then comes out, who is facing Stacks for the title next week. Tavian Heights then comes in to say this is missing him, so he's challenging Jasper Troy for the speed title next week. They have a big brawl, and Shiloh Hill ends up in the ring with Ariana Grace, kind of dips her like he's going to kiss her, but his little tooth mouthpiece kind of falls out on her face, and she freaks out. So this whole segment was a complete mess. I get you're trying to get some challengers kind of out there for Ethan Page, kind of presenting your kind of mid-card, your kind of upper mid-card guys, but this ended up being a pretty big mess and didn't really get anybody over in the process, and just kind of was a means to a comedy end with Shiloh losing his fake tooth onto Ariana Grace. So not the best segment, but gets a few guys in there with Ethan Page to see who may be the next person to step up for him. Joe Hendry then is walking around back. He recruits OTM to help him with Dark State. And he says, if you help me, I might be able to help you get a tag team title shot down the line. We then go to Fatal Influence. They run into Saruka, who won the award for Tag Team of the Year last week, but they don't have any championships. And Soul and Zarya seem pretty pissed off about the fact that they wanted to point that out. We then go to Ethan Page in the back. He runs into Miles Bourne and Tate Wilder. Tate Wilder is a Evolve star. He's kind of a cowboy kind of gimmick. Page isn't sure why Miles wasn't out there, but Miles says that wasn't his business. Ethan says that doesn't work for him, who yells at both of them and tells them to step up. Wilder tells Bourne to not let it bother him. Miles says that is too late. We then go to our main event, where Obafemi retains his NXT championship via pinfall following a pop-up fall from Grace powerbomb. We then cut immediately to the back. Ava tells the Evolve roster that with a couple of people getting called up, there's some spots available at the moment. Those people include Javon Evans going to Raw, Jordan Grace going to SmackDown, Trick Williams going to SmackDown, and Lash Legend. I don't really know I guess she's technically on SmackDown, but she constantly appears on all the brands because of the women's tag team titles. But they've all moved up, so some spots are available, kind of letting the Evolve roster know. Robert Stone, while she's doing this, runs in and asks if Ava saw what Obafemi just did. Cut back to the ring, and the NXT title is set in the middle of the ring with Obafemi no longer there. So we have the NXT title with kind of a spotlight on it. We kind of see in the background that Tony D'Angelo is standing in the crowd looking at the championship. But this basically is to say that Obafemi is going to the main roster and he has given up the NXT championship. So I'm assuming we'll have some kind of tournament going forward. I don't know how long they'll try to stretch it out. Maybe they'll do like a really long-term tournament and crown it at Stand and Deliver, or maybe they'll get it pretty quickly onto somebody else in the next few weeks. Obviously, Javon Evans did sign with Raw. They showed that on Raw. It was kind of a commercial segment kind of situation, but they showed that it happened. I think it was really just on the social media. I don't even think they showed it on TV, but Javon's gone up, so he's obviously not going to be your next NXT champion. They're going to have to, really, really push somebody hard out of this big call-up cycle. We'll see who they end up giving the title to. Javon would have been who I would have given it to next, but obviously they have bigger things for him planned. So, but a fine episode of NXT. Oba and Leon was absolutely incredible, as everyone probably thought it would be going in. Just two really talented guys. Femi is an absolute unit, a monster. I hope big things are pretty immediate for him on their main roster, but obviously we'll see. I see him probably debuting at the Royal Rumble, being in that. Hopefully he has a good showing. I've even thrown out the idea of maybe him winning, because they have been hyping him up a lot on SmackDown and Raw over the last few months. So maybe they just immediately put him up there and push him to the moon. I wouldn't have a problem with that. But he needs to go in to the Royal Rumble and at least get a bunch of eliminations, maybe a Final Four. I think that needs to happen for sure if you want him to be taken seriously. But we will go from there to Dynamite. We open with Jim Ross coming back. He is here to commentate the night. He's obviously been dealing with some cancer treatments over the last few months, but I think he is doing better, and he's here to commentate tonight for the show. We then cut to the earlier today. Jet Speed had been attacked and is out of the 6-man main event later on tonight. The Demand doesn't want to call it a bounty, but Don Callis comes in with Mark Davis and a man named Jake Doyle, who is the newest member of the Don Callis family. So they basically say that Jake Doyle was responsible for the attack. And Jake Doyle is Jake Something from Impact. I've talked about Jake Something a good bit on Impact episodes, but he is now here in AEW as another member of the Don Callis family as Jake Doyle. We then go to our opening match. Jon Moxley defeats Shelton Benjamin via pinfall when Shelton has Mox stuck in a triangle choke, but Mox is able to stack him up for the pin. So a lot of submissions not being let go for the sake of trying to continue to choke him out despite being pinned. That's been a finish quite a few times this week already. We then go to the back. Darby Allin is looking for Pac. We then go to Wrestle Kingdom from the previous weekend. We look at Hiroshi Tanahashi losing to Kazuchika Okada and Tanahashi's retirement match at Wrestle Kingdom. We then get video of Kenny Omega wanting a shot at MJF, kind of their segment last week that happened. We then go to Jack Perry. He finds some other teammates, and those teammates are the Young Bucks, and they defeat the Demand when the Bucks hit the BTE trigger on Ricochet, and then Jack Perry follows it with his running knee finisher. And then after the match, the Don Callis family runs in to lay out the Bucks. The banged-up Jet Speed ends up running out for the save, but the lights go out, and Andrade El Idolo is back once again as part of the Don Callis family. And then FTR even comes in a little bit for a stare down. Willow Nightingale then is out for her championship celebration with Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander joining her. Nightingale says this is the first step in the double champ. Willow Nightingale comes out for her championship celebration with Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander joining her. Nightingale talks about this being the first step in the double champ tour and is proud to be back with her title, her TBS championship, and her friends. She'll face any challenger for any title, and she knows that since this is wrestling, someone is going to interrupt her sooner or later. Willow then invites Mercedes Moné out, and here is Moné. She kind of has like a veil and acts like she's mourning, obviously, her championship loss. She lists off Willow lists off Mercedes' accomplishments in 2025, which made beating her mean that much more to Willow. Willow offers her some cake, but Mercedes starts wrecking everything and eventually falls into the cake, and then eventually gets hit with the Babe with the power bomb onto the cake. So she takes the double cake spot. We then go to Mark Briscoe. He has been sitting on the sidelines too long, and he is ready to face Hinchicero for the TNT Championship on Collision. His crystal ball is telling him that the title isn't going anywhere, just like Willow Nightingale's titles. He thinks that she's going to be champion for a long time. We then go to the Triangle of Madness. They want Chris Statlander and the Babes of Wrath, even if they know that their alliance won't last very long. Obviously, she's basically Tekla is basically saying that Statlander and the Babes of Wrath aren't going to be able to get along for too long. We then go to Bandito. He defeats Sammy Guevara via pinfall with the 21 plex. After the match, MJF comes out to interrupt Bandito's celebration. Says he knows much more about Lucha Libre than anyone else. He even brought a translator with him, played by John Cruz. He says he brought him along to explain things so things don't get missed. Cruz gets into Bandito's face and yells about MJF's accomplishments before MJF brings up being a 6-time winner of the Dynamite Diamond Ring. He wants the ring back from Bandito, and they can just skip the world title match next week, which isn't in doubt anyways. Bandito says he can speak English and calls MJF a son of a bitch. MJF kicks him low and takes the ring back, but he loads it up, and he accidentally ends up hitting the translator, and Bandito gets the Dynamite Diamond Ring back and hits a pair of 21 plexes on MJF. We then get video of Brody King kind of trying to reassert him as a single star, since Bandito and him aren't going to team as much, I don't think, going forward as they did over the last few months. We then get Toni Storm. She defeats Marina Shafir via DQ when Toni had her pinned, and Wheeler Yuta pulls the ref out of the ring. After the match, Toni Storm gets laid out with Mina Shirakawa trying to run in to make the save, but she gets dropped as well. Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong then come in and run off the Death Riders, with Cassidy eventually getting a hug from both Mina and Toni. We then get Pac. He has already beaten Darby Allin twice, but Allin comes in to say he wants to do it one more time. Pac says no, so Allin sprays him with a fire extinguisher and ends up really focusing on Pac's leg and tries to slam it into the door to the outside of the arena, which brings in the rest of the Death Riders, and in a panic, Pac, while he was being attacked, kind of accepted the match. We then get a lights out match, which actually literally was a lights out match for a little bit, between Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland versus Hook and Hobbs. Hangman and Swerve get the win when they hit the house call and buckshot lariat in succession on Hook. And then Hangman Page wraps a chain around Hook's neck and kind of hangs him over the top rope, and Hook eventually taps to that. And I wouldn't even call it a submission, but he basically is going to choke him out if he doesn't tap. But so Hook ends up tapping. But yeah, they had some lighting issues throughout the whole night. During Willow's celebration, the lights were real dim. Kind of reminded me of Beware of Dog when they had the bad power outage in South Carolina, I think it was. But the lights go out during that, and then they kind of go out during the beginning of this match, which was pretty ironic because it was called a lights out match. So, but they do eventually come on both things. So it was just a very weird night. Kind of strange that something like that happened. But Shelton versus Moxley was a really good match. I would go with that for best match of the night. The lights out match was fine, but just wasn't to the top level that Hangman and Swerve usually can get to. We then go to Impact. We open with the Hardys. Matt says they already have a big match tonight, but they need to talk to the Righteous. Last week, the Righteous turned their locker room into a shrine with pictures of not only the Hardys, but their wives and children. And they tell him to get out there right now and we'll deal with things. The Righteous then come out with the Hardys saying they want to fight instead of talk. If they have to do this, the Righteous want this to be a friendly competition, but that's not what the Hardys want. The challenge is thrown out, but the Righteous pass. They don't want to do it right now, but they need a little prep time, and they say that they will face each other at Genesis instead, which is a couple of weeks from now. We then go to Steve Macklin in the back. He wants his international title back, and Eric Young comes in to offer him a spot in the cleanse. But obviously, Steve kind of turns him down and threatens him that the cleanse will take over him as well. We then get Danny Luna defeating Harley Hudson via pinfall following the lunar landing. After the match, she continues to beat down Harley with Myla Grace getting taken around as well. That's kind of Harley's tag team partner. Lei Ying Lee runs in for the save, but also gets dropped, and Xia Brookside comes in, and Danny Luna is able to fight off 4 people somehow. Everybody gets their ass beat by Danny tonight. We then go to Ryan Nemeth. He suggests that Mara Sade likes him, but ends up eating a super kick for his troubles. We then go to Order 4. They're coming to the ring, but Elijah is kind of lurking behind them. We then go to the Elegance brand. They can't seem to find Mr. Elegance, so they pick basically a cameraman. He takes his shirt off, and apparently it works for the ladies in the Elegance brand. They take him off. With the personal concierge. They kind of walk off altogether. And independent wrestler named Dustin Ginn pops up from underneath the table saying he must protect the Elegance brand. So maybe he ends up being Mr. Elegance instead of this random cameraman, but we'll see what ends up happening with that. We then get Order 4. They come out for a promo. They talk about changes that are being made around here, which they'll announce slowly so people around here can understand. Mustafa Ali isn't happy with Elijah and polls the audience about getting rid of all of his stuff and himself. This includes a pair of cowboy boots and a guitar, but the fans aren't impressed. Ali rants about the fans being stupid because he was dragged away by a horse. But Elijah comes in on a horse and chases all of them off. We go to break, and Order 4 is outside, kind of leaving the arena, and they continue to get chased by Elijah on the horse. We then get Steve Macklin. He defeats Stacks via DQ when Ariana Grace hops in the ring and rakes Macklin's eyes and draws the DQ. After the match, the NXT Outlaws and Ariana Grace beat Macklin down to leave him laying. We then look back at Leon Slater not winning the NXT Championship on Tuesday. Kind of just a highlight of that. We go to a digital exclusive of the First Class Penthouse. AJ Francis went on a rant about Rich Swann, who wasn't grateful for Francis saving him in TNA. Swann then comes in and beats Francis down and even breaks his new album kind of on his body and kind of just throws it down and shatters it and everything like that. We then go to Cedric Alexander, Leon Slater, and the Hardys. They defeat the System when Moose hits the spear on Slater, but Cedric Alexander comes in from behind and sneaks a roll-up victory. So Slater, Cedric, and Moose will all be facing each other at Genesis for the X Division titles. So it's kind of why they did that finish there. We then get a video of Lei Ying Lee, our Knockouts champion, just kind of showing who she is, what she's accomplished over the last little while. We then go to Santino Marella. He is in the ring. He still seems pretty depressed about his daughter turning on him. But he brings out Santana and Frankie Kazarian for a contract signing for next week's title match. Santino explains that the title is on the line and explains what it means for Genesis with a new challenger being chosen if Santana loses. Kazarian praises Santana before saying that he's an addict as well, but it's to being the world champion. That's why he'll do anything it takes to retain the title. Santana has heard all of this before, and this time he's going to do it again. He goes to sign the contract, but here is Nick Nemeth with his his part of the Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy. Nemeth is going to watch them beat the shit out of each other and then cash in the trophy to become a 2-time world champion himself. Santana signs the contract, and Kazarian does the same before we have a big stare down to end the show. The 8-man tag between the System and Alexander Slater and the Hardys was the best match of the show for Impact, so check that one out. We then go to SmackDown. We open with Randy Orton. He's glad to be back. He kind of hypes up the crowd and all that good stuff. Trick Williams pretty quickly interrupts him, though. Trick says he's the new star around here and brags about his future. Orton says he's just as big and tall, but Trick says he's different. He's out here to brush up against one of the best ever, and then slaps the mic out of Orton's hand. They kind of start to brawl, but the Miz comes out to kind of get some revenge on Orton for last week. But Miz, once again, gets dropped with an RKO. Ray Phoenix had kind of made his way out. He has Trick Williams' first match on the main roster against him. Trick gets the win via pinfall when he reverses a roll-up into one of his own with a handful of tights. We then go to Julia with Kiana James. She is glad to have her women's U.S. title back right where it belongs. And tonight she will be defending it and taking out Alexa Bliss in the process. We then look at Damian Priest. He defeats Aleister Black, they show him beating Aleister Black in last week's ambulance match. Priest is wondering about which road to take because he wants to go after Cody Rhodes in the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre comes up, and Priest wouldn't mind going down that road either. With Priest gone, McIntyre reveals that he has Dusty Rhodes' watch, his gold Rolex. After Rhodes gets disqualified out of anger in the first fall, McIntyre only needs one more to secure the title. We then go to Alexa Bliss. She's on the phone with Charlotte, who seems to be sick at home. Nia Jax and Lash Legend come up to mock her that she's all alone, but Bliss ultimately just kind of blows them off. We then go to Alexa Bliss's match. Julia defeats her via pinfall with a Northern Lights bomb after Lash Legend had come out for some interference. After the match, Nia Jax joins her, and they continue to beat down Bliss, and they stand tall to end the segment. We then get informed that Jordan Grace is officially signed to SmackDown and gets into it with Chelsea Green and Alba Fire. Alba versus Jordan gets made for later tonight. Kit Wilson then comes in to complain about the toxic masculinity around here, but ends up getting the door slammed in his face by Nick Aldis. We then go to Matt Cardona, who obviously came back last week, talks about the work it took to get back here. Cody Rhodes is here too to kind of congratulate Matt on making his way back. Cardona says he's here. He's back, obviously, but he's back to win the WWE Championship because that is the championship that eluded him when he was here last. Cody says that once he's done with Drew McIntyre, they can talk, and Matt Cardona seems cool with that idea. We then get the MFTs, basically all of them except JC Mateo. They defeat the Wyatt Six when Solo Sikoa grabs the lantern, which distracts Uncle Howdy long enough for Tama Tonga to hit the cutthroat on Howdy and get the pin. We then get Carmelo Hayes. He runs into The Miz, who is coming for his title, but not tonight because of his neck. Carmelo scares him into thinking Randy Orton is behind him, which has Miz's neck a lot better. Now that Miz kind of runs away in anger, Carmelo runs into Ilya and says they will fight again at some point, but Ilya says right now he has something else to set up with Nick Aldis in his office. We then get another video hype package of Obafemi, obviously hyping him up. Doesn't really mention what happened Tuesday, but kind of hypes him up again. We then get Jordan Grace defeating Alba Fire in her debut on SmackDown. He beats her via pinfall following Beast Mode, which is a torture rack powerbomb. After the match, Jade Cargill comes out as Jordan's kind of walking down the aisleway. She says she isn't impressed with Jordan Grace because this is her show and she is that bitch. We then get Sami Zayn. He kind of wants Drew McIntyre to win tonight so it'll be more satisfying to beat him. And he says he's obviously never beaten McIntyre. He admits that, but obviously he's betting on Cody. Cody's his buddy. Either way, he is coming for whoever wins. We then get Nathan Frazier. He is getting ready for the U.S. Open Challenge because he's going to accept it tonight. But it seems like Axiom jumps him from behind, but it ends up just being Johnny Gargano with Axiom's mask on. and the real Axioms runs in to chase Gargano and Candice LeRae away. We then get Carmelo Hayes. Shinsuke Nakamura ends up answering his open challenge. Carmelo Hayes wins via pinfall following the Nothing But Net in what was a pretty good match. Shinsuke obviously was at one point a great talent and could have some pretty incredible matches, but Carmelo pulled a little bit more out of him than I think we've probably seen in a while. Cody Rhodes then talks about how bringing Dusty Rhodes' watch into this rivalry is lazy, and he's ready to put Drew down for good. We then get Nick Aldis. He announces a set of qualifying matches for next week with the winners going into a fatal four-way at the next Saturday night's main event to see who will get the WWE title shot at the Royal Rumble. The qualifying matches for next week will be Miz versus Randy Orton, Matt Cardona versus Trick Williams, Damian Priest versus Solo Sikoa, and Sami Zayn versus Ilya Dragunov. And then we go to our main event, which is the three stages of hell for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre is able to win Fall 1. Cody wins Fall 2. And then they go to the third fall, which is a cage match. And Drew McIntyre is able to win the final fall, escaping the cage due to Jacob Fatu coming back and seemingly getting into a little bit of a scrap with Cody Rhodes. And, Drew kind of just sneaks out of the door. So Drew McIntyre is the new WWE champion. I thought it was a really solid match. Maybe not Cody's best, maybe not Drew's best, but as far as match of the night, I still think it was the best match of the show. Carmelo and Shinsuke was also very good, like I mentioned, but, Drew and Cody had a little bit more oomph to it, I would say. Ending wasn't for everybody, but it gets Jacob Fatu back in there. It kind of reasserts him as a main eventer. I think his storyline is more naturally for Drew, but obviously they can do something now with Cody because he seemingly kind of screwed Cody out of the title. But good to see Jacob back. Good to see Drew finally get a big win, finally be able to be champion for more than like a few minutes in front of people. So I was happy for him to win the match. So it may not have been the greatest three stages of hell match, but I thought it was really solid at the same time. We'll then go to Collision to end the week. The Death Riders, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, and Pac defeat Skyflight when Pac gets Darius Martin to tap to the Brutalizer. After the match, Zeta Steele she was in Evolve, but she's now in AEW. She's joined Skyflight as their newest member. She gets into the ring to get into a stare down with Marina Shafir, but gets laid out by Megan Bain, who actually comes in and hits the Liger Bomb on her. When they go to the Conglomeration and Roderick Strong, they're ready for either a bad guy faction that wants to come out for them. Mark Briscoe goes a bit nuts and does one of his crazy promos, but he is ready to face Hinchicero later tonight. Brody King then comes out and quickly squashes Barrett Brown in less than 30 seconds, finishing him with the Gonzo Bomb. We then go to the Don Callis family. They beat up some more people backstage, just some random jobbers and security, with Don Callis himself still being in Japan, celebrating Okada's big win at Wrestle Kingdom. We then get El Clone defeating Commander via pinfall following the Portal Bomb. We then look at, again, the Don Callis family's night at Wrestle Kingdom. Obviously, Takeshita had a match, and Okada got the big retirement victory over Tanahashi. Mina Shirakawa defeats Lady Frost via submission with a figure 4. After the match, Shirakawa gets some flowers, but she isn't sure who sent them. So somebody playing some mind games with Mina and Tony. We then look at Mercedes Monet's continued downfall. She says she's taking a break from AEW, but she's going to come back and take more than just championships. We then have Mark Briscoe defeating Hinchicero via pinfall, following a J Driller. After the match, the Conglomeration come out to celebrate. We then go to the Grizzled Young Veterans. They mock Eddie Kingston, who is going to take Ortiz down with him this time. Kingston says, "You reap what you sow, but they only reap." We then get video on FTR, including their issues previously with Adam Copeland. So maybe Cope is seemingly back, coming back pretty soon. So, but FTR, the tag team champions, we'll see what's in their near future in the next few weeks, I'm sure. Um, we go to our next match. The Babes of Wrath and Chris Statlander defeat Hyann, Maya World, and Vert Vixen when Stat hits the Saturday Night Favor on Vert Vixen to get the win. After the match, the winners are glad with the result, but Tekla pops up on the stage and says she and her sisters will take care of them on Dynamite. Statlander promises that they will beat them and they will have to call her Big Stat Daddy after the match. We then go to Don Callis. He joins us from Tokyo and is thrilled with Kazuchika Okada's win. Kyle Fletcher comes up to say that they need to talk about Okada. Callis is confused, but Fletcher talks about how Okada took his screwdriver that he was going to use at World's End. Callis kind of blows Fletcher off and says it's time to focus on getting the TNT Championship back from Mark Briscoe. We then get video of Bandito versus MJF, which will happen on Maximum Carnage Dynamite, which is coming up this next Wednesday. Kind of hyping up that big match. And then we get our main event where the Demand defeat Jet Speed and Anthony Bowens when the Gates of Agony open the gates on Anthony Bowens. After the match, Max Caster comes in for a distraction so Jet Speed can take out the rest of the Demand. Caster comes in as well. And then some of the Don Callis family and the conglomeration all come in, and we have a big, huge brawl to end the show. As far as best match, I thought the Lucha match between Clone and Commander was really good. But for me personally, Mark Briscoe and Hechicero's TNT title match would be my best match for Collision. I thought it was really strong. Mark Briscoe can play to the crowd really well. Hechicero's had a pretty good couple of weeks the last few weeks. I think he's a kind of underrated kind of luchador that AEW has. So, but both matches that involve some luchadors were both really, really good for me this week. But I would go with Briscoe and Hechicero for match of the night. So that'll do it for this week. I think we'll have some more jam-packed shows over the next few weeks. Obviously, we have the AMC debut for TNA next week. So, but yeah, we're starting to get in a Royal Rumble season. I think we'll start building towards Revolution for AEW. Obviously, Genesis is on the horizon for Impact as well. So things will start to pick up here over the next few weeks in all the companies. So thank you for joining me as always, and we will see you next week.